How do we get here? And I used to die so. Trash. Hello everyone! Welcome back to my perfume. That felt kind of satisfying to say, not gonna lie. It is finally time to tell you I have created not only one but two perfumes. We have Kiss Me, which is kind of like my inspo for my outfit today and my look in general. And we have Bite Me, and these two, they are just the perfect team. While Kiss Me is a very cute, very fresh, soft smell for the day, Bite Me is an intense, sexy perfume for the night. I've worked on these for a long time, especially because one of them is basically my song's name, so it better be good. And also I kind of wanted to make it special, that's why I created two, and I just think they look so cute together too. Look at them. I also love this little glitter detail I have here because you guys know I love glitter, I love rhinestones. Of course, they're also cruelty-free, and they are now available in the drugstores in Germany, in DM, in Rossmann and Budni, online and in shops. They cost 19.99, and for all of my international broccolis, there is a way you can also get them. This is the link. It's parfumedreams.de. I will also link it in the description, don't worry. On this website, they ship to many countries in Europe, and we are currently also working on getting the perfume onto Amazon, so we have even more international possibilities. Quick edit, turns out everything is already sold out online. So the link Parfum Dreams, they do not have any perfumes anymore, but I will keep you updated and tell you as soon as they've restocked on the international page. I'm so sorry, this is a mess. Back to past Naomi. I could literally talk about these all day long and tell you exactly what I thought while creating them and what the smell is like, but I feel like this is maybe not the time for that because you're probably here for the actual video. So. But if you have the chance, just feel free to go into your drugstore and just smell them. I personally think they are revolutionizing the drugstore perfume genre. I said what I said. Let's get into this video. So I found this video by Carissa Eats, and she basically just posted a short video about how she ate like she did in high school for a full day. And I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. And then I was like, that's not a good idea because I remembered how I ate in high school. And then I remembered maybe it is still fun for you, just not for me. So I'm gonna film this video. My eating habits in high school were not the best. Why do I pretend like I'm eating healthy now? I don't eat as bad as it gets pictured in my videos, but I do definitely have had a sweet tooth back then and now. Let's just get started and let's go back to high school. Just in our minds, not in actual life, because I would literally rather die. A very usual breakfast I always had when I was a child or a teenager going to school. I did not eat anything else in the mornings during my whole school time. Toast with butter and marmalade or jam, and hot milk with honey. But it is fucking bussin', like for real, for real. All I can say is when I make myself a toast, I want my butter to be perfectly in perfect shape, not melted. The butter needs to be thick, and then just a little bit of jam on top. Not too much because I actually like the butter more than the jam itself. So the ratio is a bit like, maybe like 60-40. I never thought I would be talking so much about toast, but here I am. Just comment down below how you like your butter, because I feel like unmelted is the real and only way for every kind of toast. And I do have to say that milk with honey, it really is giving me vibes. Back then I still drank like actual milk, and now I tried it with oat milk, and I do have to say it's a bit more bitter, but it's still good. So now let's get to my next thing that I ate usually in school, and I don't actually know how to describe this to you because I feel like it just does not exist anywhere, just at my school. So we had this little food shop, cafeteria kind of thing at our school where you could buy just some sandwiches or pretzels, and they had this thing called Schokini, which is basically chocolate bread, but it's not bread, it's more cake, but it's also not cake. It's like a mixture of both of them. Actually, it's kind of like brötchen. It's all combined, but it's very sweet. And it's also, it has like a shape like this, very rectangle, so thick and kind of like very light with chocolate drops in it, sugar around it, like it's completely sugar coated. When I Google this, I cannot even find a picture of it to show you. And then I talked to Vincent about it and he said, yeah, well, obviously he remembers it because I think everybody who was at my school knows about this because it was like a go-to to eat, and I think it was only €1 or something. But Vincent also said that it was just a thing at my school, or just for this specific bakery at my hometown, because it kind of really fucks with my head that I couldn't even find a recipe, but I still wanted to make it because this was like a very usual thing that I would have bought at school. I guess I had to improvise. We love improvising baking Naomi because she's just so talented. So when I talked to Vincent about it, we kind of had like a mutual opinion about it that it definitely is not bread, but it also is not cake. So we thought maybe it's a muffin, but not in the shape of a muffin. So now we're gonna make the dough. I used 2 eggs and I just mixed them up for a couple of minutes until they were a little bit foamy. Next, you wanna add some soft butter to your eggs and half a package of vanilla sugar. And yes, I did the same mistake that I already made 5 million times before in my life. I did not take out the eggs of the fridge early enough, so they were still very cold and my butter was warm, and then it kind of just curdled and it did not create this beautiful creamy dough that I was looking for. Can you even call this dough? This isn't dough. What is it? Eggs and butter. But my very best skill is to just ignore when something goes wrong and just carry on with the recipe like nothing ever happened. I also mixed half a package of baking powder into the flour, and then we're just gonna add all of it at once and we're gonna fold it under. Then I'm gonna add my chocolate chips. It's just like dark chocolate and I just added a lot of them. I made this new improvised baking form for my little zucchinis because, as I said, they're like rectangular. I had no idea if this is gonna work out, but you know, we're here to just experiment because this isn't even a recipe anyway. And with the rest of my dough, I just created some freehand forms and I thought I was so smart. I was like, I don't even need the cake form. I can do it by hand, bitch. And then I put it all into the oven at 200 degrees Celsius for about 15 minutes. And there are my zucchinis. Look at them. And there are my free-handed zucchinis, and they did not turn out the way I wanted to. I don't know why I thought this would work. And then I'm putting them into a Ziploc bag and I'm putting some sugar in there and I'm just shaking it real good so we get it to be very sugar coated and just like I remembered. And here is my zucchini. I think it does look kind of accurate. Let's do the taste test. Vincent, do you want a zucchini?
Wow, looks so good. They're just a little thin.
Do you think so? I think that's actually how they were.
Good, but not it.
Tastes like a muffin. It looks like it, but it is not it.
Dry irgendwie, oder?
It was dry.
Tastes good.
It's still a good second breakfast. But no childhood memories. But maybe that's also better because school was rough. That was the only good thing about school. Hi. Yeah, that was not so successful, but then again, it was still a good muffin that I made. Not more, not less. Business walk dress. Next, it was time for lunch. And I just thought back of that time when after school I went home and my grandma was there and she made us some food. I just remember this one particular dish that I really want to eat again, which she made from time to time. This might be disturbing to some of you, especially to the Italians, so I really apologize in advance. But I'm gonna make milk pasta. In Germany we call it Milchnudeln. It is basically what it sounds like. It is pasta with milk and it's sweet. And I know it sounds weird, but I grew up with this dish because my grandma always used to make this, and I feel like it's also very popular in Eastern Europe. And I obviously wanted to make the recipe from my grandma, but she's currently at the hospital and she's recovering from an accident, and I didn't want to bother her to write down the recipe because she's already a bit stressed and is in pain, so I cannot make her recipe. But I did find a recipe online that is kind of similar, I would say, because it was also called Omas Milchnudeln, which means Grandma's Milk Pasta. So I think it is very authentic. Ich weiß, dass meine Oma das gerade schaut, deswegen wünsche ich ihr nochmal über diesen Weg gute Besserung und dass alles gut wird. Hab dich lieb! So we're gonna attempt to make Omas Milchnudeln, and we're gonna do it a bit different because I didn't have milk at home, only coconut milk, and I thought, why not do it with coconut milk? It's gonna be vegan and it's gonna be more healthy. You really don't need a lot of ingredients for this. It's a very easy recipe. So first off, you're gonna put around 800 milliliters of your milk, in my case my coconut milk, into a pot. Apply a little pinch of salt, or a big pinch of salt I think, and just a tiny bit of clove spice, tiny little bit, because you don't want it to be overpowering, believe me. Next, also a little pinch of cinnamon. I did way more than a pinch, but that is also the container's fault because it just comes squirting out like this. It's not my fault. I decided that I want to take out some of the cinnamon because I didn't want to make cinnamon pasta, I wanted to make milk pasta, bitch. And then it's also important which kind of noodles you use, because the very classic way is to use Hörnchen pasta, which is basically cone pasta in this shape, but it's also very classic to use this kind of seashell shape, conchiglie rigate. So you're gonna put your pasta of choice in there as much as you like. Then I also added a little bit of sugar, but I only did that because I was very skeptical. Normally you add the sugar at the end, but I was actually not believing in this because I feel like the coconut milk did not fulfill its duty. I don't think it was a good choice for this. I was super scared that I already fucked this up. Why did I have to make a vegan alternative? But I still didn't want to throw it away and like waste everything that I put in there. All in all, I feel like it was just way too watery. So I took out some of the coconut milk and I replaced it with this more creamy coconut milk. I just put that in there and I feel like that did definitely do something. I wouldn't necessarily say I saved it, but I definitely made it better with this because it got way more creamy and just way more rich. But don't get me wrong, I was still very skeptical. So I let it simmer for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and then I realized that I actually really do not have that much liquid anymore. I think normally you actually let it simmer for even longer. I also added a little more sugar. That is it. That is my milk pasta. It definitely does not in the slightest look like the one my grandma made, and I'm very sad about that. But I guess I just made my own creative spin on it and I'm just trying to see it positive in some way. It was not bad. I really expected worse. I also have to say that it was way more rich than the one my grandma made. Like super creamy and super heavy because I put this heavy coconut creamy milk in there and that made it too heavy. It was like eating pasta with cream basically, and so I don't think you could eat much of this. I was a bit sick after this plate, I'm gonna be honest, but usually with the one from my grandma I was not sick afterwards because it was still very light. I don't know how she does that. I mean, she does not use coconut milk cream for cooking, but maybe that's her secret. She actually follows the recipe. Around afternoon I got a little appetite again and I ate the snack that I used to be obsessed with as a teenager. You all know these waffles that you can buy. I used to toast them until they were also very like crunchy. And then what you want to do is you want to put an absolute shitload of Nutella in there. Like every single waffle square, it needs to be filled to the brim. And then you want to take some whipped cream and you just want to put a very thick layer of whipped cream on top. And that is your afternoon snack. I love that I'm only consuming sugar so far. And I was also skeptical to eat it now because I'm like, I don't eat this shit anymore. I'm better than that. But to be honest with you, I am not better than that. That was the best thing I've eaten in a long time. I really did not expect this to be that good because obviously it was good in my memory, but I thought my taste changed a little bit because I also don't eat that much Nutella anymore. But there's just something about the way the Nutella reacts with the whipped cream. And you might think it's like way more heavy with the whipped cream, but it actually is way more light and fresh. It's just a refreshing light snack. No, it isn't, but it kind of tastes like it. You can actually feel a bit sick afterwards if you're not used to consuming that much sugar. But I am, so let the professionals handle this. And now it is dinner time. I think it was around 8 or 9 p.m. at this point. I wanted to make my mom's recipe, which she used to make very often, and it is spinach pasta. So I was kind of dependent on her telling me about her recipe, but somehow she was just not available anymore and she just chose to ghost her own daughter. And then I just had to pick a recipe from the internet. And then right when I was cutting my onions, she sent me a voice message. So I think we're still good. I guess mothers do have their private life. So this recipe is also quite easy. Just the base recipe is very easy, and then it depends on how many more ingredients you add. We're just gonna start by boiling our pasta. You can choose whatever pasta you like. I just think spaghetti is a very obvious choice. I also boiled some eggs because my mom always put eggs in there. Then we're gonna cut up an onion, and we're also gonna fry this one up. And you can also put some garlic in there. I was just too lazy to cut garlic. Then I decided I want to make a roux, which is kind of a way to thicken up your sauce in advance. Just like a mixture of butter and flour. But then I realized I actually don't want to add that much butter. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna make a roux. But I already added some flour and it was just a weird situation. And I added some vegetable broth and kind of just mixed it all together, and it was a little bit clumpy, okay? But we're not gonna notice at the end, I promise. Then you want to add your spinach. It's this kind of frozen spinach you can get at the supermarket. Sometimes it also has a little bit of cream in it already. We call it Spinat mit dem Blub. But it actually doesn't matter. You can use whatever spinach you like, but it has to be this kind of frozen one and not the fresh one. It's gonna take some time to melt, so just leave it there. Maybe put a little bit more water on top and then just close the lid and wait for a couple of minutes. And then you want to add the secret ingredient, which is this kind of processed cheese, soft cheese situation. It is not cream cheese, but it is also not actual cheese. I don't know how to explain it. We call it Schmelzkäse, which basically means melted cheese. Strange. And my mom said she sometimes also puts feta cheese in it. She basically said she does not have a recipe. She just throws in there what she has. This is what it looks like now. And now you just want to add all the spices that you want to add. My mom said that apparently nutmeg is very important for this. Did I say nutmeg? Salt and pepper. And I also put a little bit of garlic powder in there because, as we remember, I was too lazy to cut up a garlic and I was like, powder will do it. And that is our sauce done. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot something very important, which is tomato paste. My mom said she always puts it in there. I just forgot. She sent me a voice message explaining what she adds, okay? I didn't have a recipe. I realized that this tomato paste is very, very necessary for this, even though you might think it isn't. But it really adds another depth, so please add your tomato paste. But yeah, it's time for serving. I'm just gonna mix it all with my pasta. I made a lot of spaghetti. So here it is. I know it also does not look the best, but I promise you it is really good. I mean, I have to admit that it also was not as good as the one my mom always used to make, but it was very close. I did capture the essence of it. It was still a good dish. It was very, very yummy. I would just advise you to try it if you haven't. And obviously I was not able to finish this all. I just made way too much spaghetti, so I gave a little bit to Vincent. Does it taste amazing?
Yeah.
Did you need that salt that you just put on there? Was denn? Warum bist du denn jetzt shy? Better call salt. I mean, he said he liked it. I still don't know if I can believe him because he really added a lot more salt and a lot more tomato paste. So that was my day back in high school, food-wise. I don't know, it was just a fun self-experiment. Maybe you try it too. Just even remembering everything that you ate back in high school was very hard and difficult actually, because it's just so far away. And obviously that was not how I ate every day. That was just key dishes and key snacks that came to my mind that was very polarizing back then. I would also love to know, what was your go-to food in high school? Please comment down below. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media, which is Naomijon on Instagram, Naomijon on TikTok, and the Naomijon on Twitter. Oh yeah. They also fit to my pants. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Go buy my perfume.